Okay guys, so welcome back. Now in this episode 2, I'm going to be showing you some of my favorite tips when working with Logic's software instruments. Now these are fantastic, and always remember that Logic is jam-packed with a whole lot of stuff under the hood that, it's great to have additional plugins and bits from elsewhere, but I assure you there's so much in Logic that sometimes goes undiscovered that we kind of miss out. So let's get into this. Okay, so one of my favorite tools in Logic is the EXS24 Sampler. Now, this interface looks a bit dated compared to a lot of the synths that have come out in Logic over the recent years. This one definitely does look like it needs a facelift, so hopefully Apple will do something about that soon. Nevertheless, the power definitely exists within this software instrument, and that's why I love using it so much. Okay, so let me show you how you can create something really cool and really powerful with just a few little steps in this sampler. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is come over here and hit the edit button, and we're going to go to zone, and we're going to create a new zone. All right, we're going to go to audio file, load sample, and I'm just going to navigate to some bass samples that I've got. I'm going to use bass 2 and load that up. Okay, right, so that's in there now, and if I hit the keyboard I should hear that. Okay, what I'm also going to do, I'm going to go back in and I'm going to go to new zone, and I'm going to layer the bass, second bass sample, so bass 3. Now both of these basses are tuned to C on the keyboard. Okay, so that's the layer. Let me give you an example of them individually. Let's turn this down, minus 99. Oh, this one should be on 0. Okay, have a listen. That's one, and here's the other layer. Okay, and together, let's put that on 0. Together they create this sound. Okay, nice and fat. Okay, and you know it's important that you choose your layers correctly so that they don't conflict. Sometimes you might want something to handle the bottom end and another bass sound to handle the mid and top end. That's sort of a general guide. Anyway, over here you want to make sure that pitch is ticked. Here, now this bit is important. Make sure that the key is set to C3 or whatever pitch your bass note is, you set it to the same. So if, say for example, my bass note was B, I'll set the key to B. All right, leave the range the same and make sure that one shot is not ticked. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to save as. Okay, so now I'm going to create a real quick and simple bass line. I've got a drummer patch already up, ready to go, and I'll take you through to the next part of the tip. So I've created a really simple bass line to go along with this drummer pattern. Have a quick listen and then we'll carry on. Okay, so as you can hear, every note, you can hear the attack of every single note, even though some of the notes are overlapping. So let's play this one back, have a listen here. So between these two notes, you can hear the attack point here and the attack right here, even though this one is overlapping, okay? Cool, now let's go back to the sampler. Now this is the important bit. Currently, the EXS24 is set to polyphonic mode, which means you can play multiple notes at once. For example, you can play chords in this. However, this is going to be a bass line and we don't need chords. We want to be in monophonic mode, so single note mode. So we want to be in legato or mono, but I prefer legato. Now here is the power function in this module, the unison mode. Once we're in unison mode, what happens is every single one of our notes is multiplied or layered 8 times. Okay, and I'll show you. You see it's got 16 voices here. That means that because we have got in the actual sampler instrument, we have got 2 samples playing. Each of these samples will be layered 8 times. So there are 8 versions of this playing at the same time, which makes our sound fatter, thicker, and more punchy. All right. In fact, what the sampler does as well, each of those 8 layers per sample is slightly detuned, so they're not exactly going to be sounding exactly the same, which gives them extra width. So hopefully that makes sense. So we've got 16 voices, and if I was to play this back, in fact, what I better do now, we want to pull this down, because let's take off quite a bit. Let's go down to -18. Okay, otherwise this thing will just jump through the ceiling. Let's play that back now. Much thicker, much more weight, much heavier. In fact, let's go back to Poly and have a listen. Take off Unison. Okay, I'm going to keep the volume the same as between the 2 examples, so you can actually hear the difference. So that's polyphonic mode, and as you can see here, out of the 16 possible voices, only 2 are being used. That's one from each sample. Okay. However, in Unison mode, with legato on, listen to that. All 16 possible voices are being used, 8 for each sample. Okay, again, what we can do something a little bit special right here. We're going to just add a bit of random tuning to it, so about ±2 cents. And now let's have a listen. Now that's further detuning. Let's give it a bit more. Let's try 3. So what this does, it sort of creates a sort of analog effect. On analog synths, you find that the notes or the sounds or the tones are slightly detuned. They're not always going to be the same tuning every time the note is hit. So we're going to create a bit of that analog kind of vibe here. Let's go in a bit more. ±4. And also, are you noticing as well, the overlaps? Can you hear that now? We're not hearing the attack on the overlaps. That's because we're in legato mode. Much more funky, much more punchy. Let's go back in and have a look. And again, we're going to do our A-B. So Poly, no Unison. Okay, weak and flimsy, Unison, legato. And I mean, that's the essence of what I'm trying to show you here, is how powerful this tool is. All we've done is we've gone in, we've created a new sampler instrument, we've added 2 bass samples, layered them. Okay, we've of course titled and saved the sampler instrument, and then all we've done is of course we've done the main thing is to switch from polyphonic to unison and legato, and that's the fire. Remember to drop the volume down, because you're going to be clipping. It's going to sound really rubbish if you don't, because it's going to be hitting maybe +8 dB into distortion. Okay, one final thing that you can do as well is switch on the filter, and that's going to add a bit of drive, a bit of saturation. You can of course automate the cutoff and have a bit of fun with that. I'll be back real soon with some more. I'm Dr. Duce. Peace.